Hey, it's Tansel. We'll talk about training your mind and a lot of mental training. People think that, oh yeah, I'll do some Sudoku, we'll download some apps and, maybe do a bit of Duolingo. That's going to be good for my brain, right? They might be, but it's not anywhere near as powerful as training your memory. Why am I so much of an advocate for memory training? Well, it's not just because I'm a 4-time memory champion and I've written books on it. It's because I know it works. And I've been coaching for over 20 years. So it's a long time. And I've seen a ton of people benefit from these techniques, strategies, systems. How can you start? What can you do? And, how do you get into it? So what I suggest is I've got like a couple hundred videos on here. So, you can start from my channel, but there's also some, amazing other channels as well. I've got a whole bunch of colleagues and other memory athletes. So you can go check out their videos and understand how the system works, right? But what I suggest you do is just start off with one tiny exercise. One tiny exercise, that could be the number rhyme technique. It could be a memory palace. Memory palace videos are quite a lot on the internet now, so definitely check them out. But start from one little technique. Once you start from one technique, you'll get a taste of how memory works, right? And it generally works with association, so you're connecting two things together, visualization and your imagination. Because the more imaginative you get, the better stories you make. And if you make better stories, then you're going to remember a lot better. So anyway, once you research into this, once you do your exercises, you'll get it. Then once you've done that a few times, what I suggest you do is you can jump on my website, go to the download. There's free downloads there. You don't have to sign up for anything, and just play around with a whole bunch of random words, all that sort of stuff. Once you start playing around with random words, downloading, and then just memorizing very basic stuff in lists, then I'd suggest you look at the major system. Right now, what the major system is, it's a system where you're essentially converting numbers from 0 to 9 into letters. And then once you do that, you can create words. So for example, 17 could be a dog, 71 could be a cat, and so on. So check that out. I'll put it on the screen here, the major system, just for a few moments, just so you can see how that looks and some examples as well. Right? So you've got the major system. And then what you can do with the major system is you can start memorizing numbers. Now, why is memorizing numbers any better than memorizing words? Well, now you're going through this system of encoding numbers into letters, letters into words. So there's a process going on, and your brain has to go through this process in order to memorize. So why is that good? It's like going to the gym and exercising. The more you exercise the brain this way, the better you'll start to understand how memory works and how to exercise it as well. So major system, memorize some numbers, and I've got a whole bunch of numbers on my website as well. So you can check that out. Again, all free. You can click on that link and so on. So once you've got that, then what I suggest is jump on a website like Memory League, memoryleague.com. And what you can do there is you can actually start, they've gamified memory training, right? Which is really cool. So you can start playing around with timings and, train under duress. And under duress training is great because when you're memorizing with pressure, there's that pressure to form a really huge story or really great connection. And when you're trying to do that, what happens is that our connections are really, really bad, right? They're really bad connections. And then when we try and recall, we can't remember much. So I do a thing with my clients called failure training, and essentially putting them under so much duress that they fail certain exercises, and then we analyze that. So this is not so much as intense as that, but doing your own type of training and looking at the failures is so much better than seeing all this success. But when you start off, give yourself the opportunity for success. So do the little techniques and so on. You'll definitely notice your growth from there. And then once you've done major system, all that sort of stuff, it'll be great, right? And then where you can go on in parallel to that, major systems, you can learn about the memory palace, right? Memory palace is, one of the most powerful techniques you can learn out there. And the reason for that is that you can memorize a ton of information on there. So how memory palace works very quickly, I've got a whole bunch of videos on this, is that you have a set sort of route, a location. So for example, from me walking to my house, or my house could be a location, a memory palace. And my first location is essentially my front fence. Then my second location could be my front door. And my third location, once I get inside the house, could be, could be my couch or something like that. So you follow along a sequence, And let's say you have 20 items that you've created in a sequence, then in order to memorize stuff, all you're doing is you're essentially adding things to be memorized onto these locations. So anyway, that's a very short explanation of a memory palace. So this is not a memory palace video, so I'm just explaining how to sort of get into memory and what to do. So if you want to check out memory palace videos, just jump on my channel. There's a ton there. Do the memory palace, major system, your words training, numbers training, all that sort of stuff. And then you'll sort of build momentum and excitement, because when you get into memory, there is this initial excitement of, whoa, I was just able to do A, B, C, and D, or I was just able to memorize this, and so on. So then what you can do is, again, it doesn't all have to be in this order, but it's the order that essentially works for me and what I do with my clients as well, right? So it gives you early successes. Then what I suggest is start playing around with memory techniques in a practical sense. So, how do you remember people's names? Using these story methods. How do you remember speeches, right? Directions. You're studying for exams. How could you use these techniques? And unfortunately, a lot of people, what they do is they start with either reading a book on memory, or they learn about the memory palace technique straight away. And then what happens is when you do try and apply those techniques to say studying, what happens is that the studying is not as effective because you're trying to memorize everything. And that's not the way to learn, because the whole idea isn't to memorize everything. The whole idea is to comprehend and understand and use memory as like tools to really get in and retain stuff. Like, could be lists, it could be formulas, could be stuff like that, right? And even then, sometimes they just give you the formula these days instead of saying you have to memorize. They're the little things you can do. Then also after that, if you're interested in further training for yourself, you can speak to coaches like me, you can read further books. There's so much going on in terms of memory training now, but hopefully this channel is a good resource for you, and I'll continue to make videos on, training and memory strategies and little exercises, because I think exercises are cool. It's really awesome. Instead of saying how to memorize your password, well, yeah, you can sort of know how to do that, but I like to get deeper into videos explaining why these systems work and exercises you can do to train your memory. So there you go. Any questions, comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.